changing how society is organized through collaboration. It's fascinating. Finally created an African Union that was truly Pan-African. The things that the Europeans were trying to do with the EU, we finally achieved it in Africa through software. Software created an environment that allowed the humans to then follow up on it. And with that software experience, sharing it globally then became something that this is how the world actually now convenes. Because we realized that humans can work cooperatively in a software platform that allowed governance to actually really get its effect, all from a software library created by a teenager in Lagos to facilitate payments at a store, ended up changing how society is organized through collaboration. It's fascinating. We finally created an African Union that was truly Pan-African.
There's another thing that I really wanted to tell you about, and that's the notion of a personal artificial intelligence. It's like having not only an assistant that does things that you ask it to do, and it goes off and negotiates whatever travel you have or the restaurants you want to go to, but it's more important than that. It actually augments our own intelligence. This is the real power of artificial intelligence. It's not autonomy. It's the ability to augment our own human capabilities so we can work more effectively together. So together, AI and humans are a joint venture, not an opposing force.
In the early 2020s, my team and I solved one of the problems that had been plaguing the whole sort of data ecosystem in the 2010s. Those solutions had to do with decentralizing artificial intelligence in certain key ways. The miniaturization of the models, the ability for those models to evolve and to learn in a distributed fashion that respected everybody's data rights and that allowed for common goods, health data, breakthroughs in medicine, safety of the kind that people had become used to with respect to financial transactions on the web became the norm for every kind of data transaction on the internet and later in the physical world as well, as AI began to infuse all kinds of man-made structures and also connect with ecological systems and make the needs of ecologies manifest as parts of collective and communitarian artificial intelligence.
Luckily now we've come to a much more open, pluralistic, integrated view where people understand that intelligence is always relational and therefore that the most powerful machines are always those that harness and complement the people and machines that already exist. And it's a much more healthy environment. It's much less threatening these days because everyone realizes that as technology comes, it comes not to replace them, but to harness them more fully.
We couldn't control whether other people or organizations started to manipulate our personal track. So the consistency of our digital persona. And then we developed a setup where you track your own data, physical data, geoposition, and so on, which is like a fingerprint of your person. You share it in a blockchain way with digital witnesses and put it somewhere in the mountain. So if there's a certain harassment, you had a kind of proof with hundreds of witnesses that you had not been there, it has not been you, and so on. There's cheating, that's fake on this data. And this turns out to work pretty well and was developed towards digital citizenship, where a state, for example Switzerland, took over a kind of policy to fight for your personal rights in the digital realm.
We made sure that every young person, when they were in school, learned how to think critically about what they were seeing and hearing on the network, in movies, radio, television, books, newspapers, and so on. Critical thinking has saved us because people are now paying attention to the information they're getting and they're asking, where did it come from? Who put it up here? What intent did they have? Is there any corroborating evidence for these statements that are being made? We live in a more rational society now than we ever did in the past.
Of course, not everybody is equal, Not everybody is happy. Not everybody has access to the same things. But I think we're freer in the sense that we don't say anymore that you cannot have access to certain things just because you were not born in a rich family or in a certain place. Because everybody has electricity, everybody has internet, everybody has machines. It's really about challenge your desire to learn, and to push yourself and to think abstractly and to use your intellect more than your senses, because the visual is a trick, and not everything you see is exactly what you see. It's about thinking really further about these abstract relationships.
It's this idea that there are all these cycles, all these cycles of things, so too much of information, too much of knowledge, too much of different disciplines, too much of expectations and so on. So too much, so fast, whenever we try to actually trace a particular interest analytically, we just multiply the cycles. Yeah, so the tracing doesn't lead us back to a source or a cause, because this cause or this ground is active in itself. So we cannot try to find stability or a position by holding on to particular points and tracing their dynamics in order to kind of hope to find a point of origin or a cause. But then what to do? Rather than trying to go in circles as well, stand still and get in an upright position, and then the things that you, in a certain complexity, which is individual, that you can grasp or relate to, they start to circle around you. It's like juggling with balls, to juggle with more balls. But at the same time, it means you lose your position. So it would exactly not be about how to find a position, it would be about how to keep a stance.
Complexity, that's a personal attitude. It's not professional, bridges going on. To deal with complexity, this is what we call human intelligence. Life is all the time complex.